Sexy up and down their spine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make him hot. I make him shiver. Their knees get weak whenever I'm around. They see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like they're on cloud nine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Episode 49. We're getting there, Tom. Almost to 50. Next week is 50.
We get to?
Wait. Next week's 50,
numbers.
and next week is the week before WrestleMania. Is that a coincidence or not? I think it is. But I'm going to roll with it. But anyways, welcome back, Tom, as always. And once again, we have Mr. Indy Nathaniel Adams joining us this week.
I'm back, bitches.
Yes, he's back, and I am still scared for my life. But that's okay. I'll get over it, you guys. All right, so... Sorry,
Scared for your life?
I could just listen to this song all day.
Oh.
Sexy boy. No. All right, so last week we covered top 5 matches of all time. Today we're going to cover our top 5 wrestlers of all time. But before we get into that, Tom, how's your week been, buddy?
It was good. Just not too much going on. Yeah, pretty uneventful.
Nice.
Took my cat to the vet, went to the eye doctor, you know, all the fun stuff.
You had an adult this week, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
And how was the week of Mr. Indy?
As usual, spectacular.
Spectacular.
Can't complain at all.
So yeah, I'm still waiting. My wife, she should be going into labor anytime now. She was due on Friday, which was like 2 days ago, but who's counting, right? Anyways, excuse me. Sorry about that. All right.
And the
I'm
child's name shall be WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. And I'm not sick. I just feel like I'm under the weather, so sorry if my voice is a little weird. But my wife and son have been sick. I took them to the doctor like twice in the past 2 weeks, or week, I guess. But I feel like I'm getting it, but it's not as bad as they had it. So
Hashtag medical bills.
Hashtag medical bills. I already got like a really big pneumia bill from November, but I don't want any more medical bills. All right, so let's just jump into it.
Good thing your wife's not having a baby or anything.
I know, right? I know, right? It's just... I like not kids cost money or anything, right? All right, so anyways, you'll learn one day, Tom. All right, so into wrestling, I guess. All right, so Tom, you want to start off? What is your what is your honorable mention? Not number 5, your honorable mention.
You know, I actually thought of an honorable mention this week because I just assumed that we were going to have one. So
I just kind of do things and don't tell Tom about it, even though he's like 75% of this show.
I just roll with it. I just roll with the punches. So my honorable mention is Kurt Angle.
That's a damn good one. I hated that guy, but I love him to death.
Yeah, so Kurt Angle is somebody who, as a kid and like growing up and stuff, I was always like, oh, I hate Kurt Angle. He's a bad guy, all that stuff, you know.
I was the same way.
I cheered for the faces, booed the heels, all that good stuff. I didn't really learn to appreciate Kurt Angle until later on, over the past few years. Just watching some of his promos that he would do back in the Attitude Era and all that, the early 2000s, he was always entertaining. Somebody posted online recently the one where he pretends to interview The Rock, and it's just him asking questions and like cutting in. They cut to The Rock and start other questions. No, it's so funny. His delivery is perfect. He's great in the ring, obviously. He's the total package, and I didn't really learn to appreciate him until recently.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch too much of his TNA. I mean, I've seen some of the matches he had with like Samoa Joe when he first came in, but mostly just looking back on his WWE career, he was the total package and one of the best all-around performers that they've ever had.
Nice. All right, so if I had to jump into my honorable mention, this one's still kind of relatively new, but kind of not. But it would be CM Punk. So I enjoyed CM Punk quite a bit whenever he was in the ring. Loved watching him. Loved his promos. I liked him from ECW through when he was, champion for, what was it, like 380 something days or something like that, or it was over a year.
434.
434. Yes. Thanks, Mr. Indy. That's why we bring you on the show. You give me those facts. You give me those facts on the spot. But
Mr. Numbers.
I didn't agree with the way everything went down with giving The Rock the championship. I like the idea of The Rock introducing the new championship, but he lost it just that way him and Cena could feud over it again at WrestleMania. I thought
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah, once in a lifetime, only available twice, right? But I didn't like that. I didn't like the way everything went down. Then, he kind of like towards the end of his career, like Batista winning the Royal Rumble, and you have people that work 10 times harder than he did. I agree with Punk. I know he left on sour terms, and he went to the UFC. Still waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But yeah, everything from pretty much Money in the Bank, like I said, 2011 last week, through the time that he retired was just, or I guess he didn't really retire, he just quit. The WWE was amazing, and things before that, like the Straight Edge Society, was really, really good. I liked totally just spacing his name. He was Fester.
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows.
You mean Luke Gallows?
Yeah, Luke Gallows.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back
Or you
with the
can call
Bullet
Fester.
Club, baby.
Bullet Club's coming. But yeah, I love the Straight Edge Society. I actually liked whenever Punk wore a mask. I thought it was kind of cool and kind of different, even though it did look really stupid. But I thought it was kind of different. But yeah, some honorable mention would be CM Punk. I just couldn't put him on the list because it's top 5, and there are definitely people that I feel deserve to be in the top 5 more than him. But that's just me. Mr. Indy, what do you got for your honorable mention this week?
I'm breaking the rules again this week because I'm Mr. Indy and I can.
That's what he does. That's what he does, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to give you an honorable mention of a male and a female.
Uh-oh. Is it Trish Stratus?
My male would have to be Daniel Bryan. And I put Daniel Bryan there because his career was obviously cut short.
Very short, yeah.
If we would have had more of Daniel Bryan, I do believe that Daniel Bryan would be I still think he'll end up in the Hall of Fame, but I do think that if we'd had more of Daniel Bryan, he'd have been a surefire Hall of Famer, first ballot. And I think that throughout his career, he improved immensely. He was always a great wrestler, but his promo skills were lackluster at best. And towards the end, you could really see him start to break out and start to have better promo skills that went along with his amazing wrestler skills. So I think if we'd have seen him more than what we did in the future, he would have been a surefire Hall of Famer, and that's why I'm putting him as an honorable mention, because his career was cut short.
Yep.
And secondly, my female would have to be Lita.
It's a good one.
I know that there's the argument who was better, Trish or Lita, but Lita not only changed women's wrestling, but she also almost changed. It's almost like she changed fashion for women as well. She had that grungy look to her, but she had that exotic sex appeal about her. And
high-rise thongs. High-rise thongs.
Yeah,
baby.
whale
yes, sir. You got to imagine, as a 12-year-old boy, I was about that.
Oh, yeah, I was too. Don't worry. I was watching it every week.
Oh, shit.
And when and I know this is going to go along with that 12-year-old boy, or actually typical guy thing anyways, but when she would take her shirt off right before the moonsault, every boy in the world got excited, no pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
So
I just think she changed women's wrestling forever. And her and Trish both, but Lita,
yes,
edges Trish out in my book.
But
those are my honorable mentions.
If there's anything that Lita did for me, is it turned me on to women with tattoos. That's what she did for me.
Turned me on.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I absolutely love whenever I see like any type of like a model or something. If they have like if their arms are covered in tattoos, I'm very, very happy. All right. So,
yes, sir.
Tim, I think I showed you, but I don't know if both of you have seen the Lita action figure that's coming out soon. It says Monster Whale Tail.
Yes.
Being released in 2016.
It's hilarious.
Just no shame whatsoever.
It's 98 all over again, right? 98, 99.
It's crazy.
All right, so number 5, I guess I'll start off number 5. So this is kind of top 5. So I'm gonna put the great one, The Rock.
It is a top 5.
The Rock at number 5. So whenever you think of The Rock, you think of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Either you like one or you like the other. I mean, you like both, but whenever they were feuding, and I always sided with Stone Cold because, I mean, my uncle and everybody else, they were like, yeah, he drinks beer, he's a badass, he's that blue collar worker that takes no crap from no man and just keeps on walking. walking, what is it, stomping mud holes and walking them
Stomping
dry.
mud holes.
Stomping them mud holes and walking them dry.
There it is. That's perfect. But yeah, The Rock, I mean, he had some of the greatest matches. I like seeing him come back every so often, but I know whenever he comes back, I'm not going to get to enjoy it for very long because he's back maybe for a week or two, then he's gone for months.
But I thought he was never leaving again.
Exactly. I'm home. I'm back for good for like 3 weeks. Then I'm gone again. But what was that? You throwing stuff at me, dude? But yeah, it was, The Rock was always probably he's what got me into like loving promos as well, not just the wrestling, just because he would say like the craziest things that as a kid I had no idea what he was talking about, but I thought it was funny because my cousins were laughing, my uncle was laughing, my dad was laughing, everybody was laughing, and I was like, yeah, that's really funny, I get it, but I didn't get it. But now as an adult and late teenager, I was like, I see what you were doing there. I see what you were doing. Like, talking about pie eating, all that other stuff, and you're just like, I like apple pie.
Yeah.
And strudel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you're
Love
like,
pie.
you're just like,
Oh,
I get it now. But yeah, The Rock had probably some of the best promos I've ever seen, and I love it. And The Rock was great. I just wish whenever he came back he would stay. But then again, he was from the Attitude Era, and he's got a lot more stuff going on. I actually like his movies for the most part, minus maybe one or two that I've seen. But I'm really excited for the new one with Kevin Hart, but that's beside the point. But The Rock, number 5. Sorry I couldn't put you higher, buddy, but there are 4 people that I feel deserve a much higher spot. Tom, what do you got for number 5?
So my number 5, these guys, I only really like them because they're just entertaining in the ring. They really have no promo skills, which is totally fine with me. But
So it's not in
some of the most
cast.
entertaining matches all the time, and that is the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. So they are very polarizing figures in the world of wrestling. I feel like most people nowadays have come around to Young Bucks, but their stuff in New Japan is pretty good with the Bullet Club. The whole Bullet Club thing was a lot of fun, and them doing a lot of run-ins, for Kenny Omega and Prince Devitt and all that made them a lot of fun as heels. They did some really good work there. In PWG, they're just off the walls, crazy. I talked last week about the guerrilla warfare for the PWG tag titles, that match that they had.
That was awesome.
Just pure entertainment, yeah. And I love the whole thing that they in the Bullet Club are all about ripping off Attitude Era stuff with, doing the
no
the
shame,
sweet,
no shame whatsoever.
They have no
either.
shame about it. They essentially look like the Rockers, and it's kind of funny if you hear them talk in interviews. Like Marty Jannetty was a huge fan of theirs and like helped train them, so he was pretty much just like, yeah, it's cool, just look like us, that's totally fine. But yeah, I just love them. They're off the wall. The stuff that they do outside of wrestling, the different videos and stupid shit that they do is very entertaining as well. So just for pure enjoyment, I love those guys a lot. They're my number 5.
Nice.
All right, and I have to comment on the Young Bucks because they're not on my list, but they are the only 2 men in professional wrestling that can come out to a Hanson song, that
Yes.
can come out to Mbop by Hanson and still be freaking awesome.
And get away with
Oh
it.
yeah,
Get away with it.
yes.
All right.
Seeing them when when you and I saw them live, that was the first time I had seen them live when Ring of Honor came to town, and it was so much fun.
It was
so much fun to see them. So I am looking forward to seeing them again.
Who was it? They were wrestling in a
they wrestled
4-man
with
tag or
the
8-man
All Night
tag?
Express, yeah, versus the Briscoes and War Machine.
Yeah, I liked War Machine.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was a great match.
I love the War. I never seen. I don't watch. So my problem is I don't have enough time to watch that much wrestling. So my viewing audience is pretty much the WWE. With occasionally I'm at Tom's house, I'm like, hey, watch this awesome match from Ring of Honor. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that was pretty freaking awesome. And I think I've seen War Machine once before that, and I saw those guys. I'm like, these guys are big, and they still get stuff done, but they make it look brutal as hell at the same time, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was such a fun match to close out that night.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. All right, so Mr. Indy, number 5, what do you got for us?
My number 5 is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. CM Punk.
There you go.
I think, and I'm going to take it a little bit further than you did, Tim, with your honorable mention. I want to talk about how he came along at a time where they went back to the Hogan, almost the Hogan era, because they had Cena on top, Cena, Batista, all these big, bulky guys.
Cena.
Yeah,
Cena.
Cena.
Hello.
Yes, sir. And he came along with these tattoos and this nasty, dirty look, and he wasn't their guy, and he was kind of floundering there for a while, but he found his place, and he made it known that he was the man. And that's why I knew, right away when you talked about his title reign, I knew right away 434, because he came along, he made his mark, and then they finally were forced to recognize him as a legitimate face of the company. And you don't see that. It's him and Daniel Bryan both. You don't see that.
Yep.
They came along in an era where you weren't supposed to see that. And I think that he changed wrestling, even though people say, oh, well, you can't change anything from your couch, and you're back on your couch in Chicago, and yada, yada, yada. He still made a change.
Yep.
There are things that he said in the Colt Cabana podcast that made sense.
Yep.
People got certain things that they deserved after he left because he left. And it wasn't that he was taking their spot. It was the fact that he had complained and bitched and moaned for these things for so long, and the fans started to get into it, that Vince was finally like, okay. And, I'm talking about Daniel Bryan when I say that. But for that reason, he is my number 5. He could cut a promo. He was one of the best wrestlers in the world, one of the best talkers in the world. And that's my reason for putting him at number 5.
Yeah, because I know, anybody that doesn't watch wrestling, Tom can probably, both of you guys can probably attest to this as well. If you show him a picture of John Cena, we'll just say a typical female, they're gonna be like, oh my God, he's so hot. He has these big muscles. He can't put his arms down. He's so big. He's got that clean cut, chiseled face. He has the look that Vince McMahon loves. Then I show him a picture of Dean Ambrose or CM Punk, and they're just like, wait, he's a wrestler?
Who the hell is that?
Yeah, he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's disgusting. I'm like, Dean Ambrose is the man.
I think that
CM
guy
Punk
pickpocketed me one time.
CM Punk was amazing, and just because he doesn't have that bone chiseled look with the 20-pack of abs that run from his neck to his feet and stuff like that, he's not gonna be the front man, which sucks, because CM Punk had the other look that a lot of wrestlers like, I like the tattoos, the crazy style, and just the crazy hair and stuff, but. Yeah, it's not Vince's look, which is what sucked for CM Punk for so long.
And I mean, he helped open the door for guys like Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, and I mean, Dean Ambrose is a big dude, but he's not your prototypical.
Yeah, he's not your Roman
WWE
Reigns
guy. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't look like Roman Reigns. That works too. He helped kind of open the door for those guys that made it big on the indies to really, come into the WWE and get a legitimate shot. Because, they did look different, and they did have different styles and all that, and he kind of paved the way for them.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the CM Punk documentary, I highly suggest watching it. It's so good. I've seen it 3 times. It's so good. All right, so...
I won't tell you how many times I've watched it.
I've only watched it 3, so... All right, so moving on to number 4. I'll start us off with number 4. But my number 4 is the Dead Man, The Undertaker, Mark Calloway. So the first time I saw...
Big Mark Calloway fan.
The first time I saw The Undertaker, it was the coolest thing ever, because this is that creepy guy that you would see at a funeral home or something, because he had Paul Bearer, but not even counting Paul Bearer, well, that's a whole other thing. But The Undertaker, whenever I started watching in the Attitude Era, he was kind of in the Ministry of Darkness and stuff, which was really creepy. But
Best Undertaker ever.
Yeah, and he was what Bray Wyatt is today, but back in the 90s.
But he wins.
Yeah, but he won.
Yeah, but he won.
So, streak aside, Brock Lesnar aside, I don't really... I mean, the streak was really cool. I wish it would have been, 20 and Punk, or what was it? 20 and Punk instead of 21 and 1. But we, me and Nate, we had a long conversation about this a long time ago about why he lost. Was because Paul Bearer did die. What was it, 3 or 4 weeks before WrestleMania? So,
yeah, it was just a few weeks before WrestleMania.
Yeah, so Undertaker winning made perfect sense, which sucked because I was seriously rooting for Punk, because the streak was kind of something that I've read a couple things that they're just articles, so I mean they might not be true, but the Undertaker didn't really. he didn't really care about the streak so much. He just wanted it to end because it was something that they always talked about. That was always surrounding him. Like every time he, excuse me, sorry. Every time he wrestled, it was, the Undertaker is 17-0 at WrestleMania. Who's going to step up and challenge him now? It's like, bro, it's like August. Let it go for a few months. But yeah, the Undertaker has probably had some of the most memorable moments. He's wrestled everybody that's on my list. And I'm not saying I want to see the old guy retire, but I kind of want to see him retire. But him fighting, I'm not sure if him fighting Shane McMahon is the best going away match, which I don't think it's going to be his last match because there's already some kind of tour set up or house shows for who the Undertaker's facing after WrestleMania. So I don't think it's over. But he is technically the only one on my list that I look at that is not retired. But I feel like he's semi-retired because he wrestles maybe 4 times, 5 times a year. But he's he was also the only guy I know that can go through a crazy transformation from the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker to Tom's favorite, the American Badass.
Biker Taker. Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, and pull it off and be over with the crowd. Nobody else could say that. You're this dark guy, then all of a sudden you're coming out on a Harley to Limp Bizkit. That's just I loved Biker Taker as well. I thought it was great. Just the fact his music would kick on and just that the hog up at the top just revving the engine nonstop takes me back.
Yeah, and it sounds so stupid, and it kind of is. It is, but wrestling in general is pretty stupid.
Well, I feel like that might have been Mark Calloway's fun gimmick.
Yeah, so it fit for the time though. I don't know if Dead Man. I mean, I think Dead Man Undertaker could work at any time, but for the Attitude Era, Biker Taker really did still fit in though. You didn't really question oh, why is this guy the Undertaker? Why is he riding a motorcycle now? I don't know, whatever.
Bikes are cool, bro. He's got the jean jacket or I think he had a jean jacket, leather jacket with the bandana and the glasses. It worked.
And then you got Kurt Angle riding a scooter around.
That was hilarious.
God, I love Kurt Angle.
I forgot all about that. All right, so Tom, what do you got for number 4?
My number 4 is Daniel Bryan. So
rest in peace.
I was a really big fan of Daniel Bryan when he came into the WWE. I hadn't really seen much of his stuff on the indies before that, but over the past few years, I've kind of checked out that stuff, and his time in Ring of Honor was really great too, and PWG and all that. But his whole story leading up to WrestleMania 30 and all of that is the stereotypical underdog story, but I think it is played out. I think it played out in the best way possible for everybody involved. It did kind of suck that it took CM Punk quitting. It did take that to pretty much get him to that level, but the release at the end of WrestleMania 30 was well worth it for me as someone who likes CM Punk, but not nearly as much as you two. But
every fan at every show ever.
Right.
If you chant CM Punk, just jump off a cliff.
I'm a huge Punk fan, but even I'm getting sick of that.
Yeah, it's guys, unless he's literally there, don't chant his name.
What?
Really don't. Yeah, or what?
Yeah, Vince gets it. They want CM Punk. He gets it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And yeah, so he was never the greatest on the mic, but he did improve, and you could tell that what he was saying was very genuine. A lot of what you hear wrestlers say sounds really forced, and not a lot of them are the greatest talkers, but in terms of just being a genuine person, you could tell that Daniel Bryan meant what he was saying, which went a long way, I think, to making him that fan favorite that he became. And his run with Kane as Team Hell No
oh god, that was amazing.
Just extremely fun to watch. Just watching him be a total jerk, and the two of them playing off of each other, the big man, little man type of stuff, was just a lot of fun to see. But yeah, Daniel Bryan is one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Obviously, it's a shame that his career was cut short, especially now that Shinsuke Nakamura has joined NXT, and Kurt Angle had said publicly that he wanted to wrestle Daniel Bryan in his retirement match. And it's sad that we'll never see either of those matches.
So sad.
Nowadays, but it's good for his health that he is no longer wrestling. But yeah, otherwise he would be probably higher if we had another 10 more years of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, so I think that even Daniel Bryan himself, like I think me and Tom were talking, like it'd be cool if he came back like as a GM or something like a backstage presence or whatever.
The night after Survivor Series 2014, when he came back as the GM for Raw that night, I mean, when his music hit, I lost my mind.
Yeah, we were there.
But that was a lot of fun to be there for that, and just having him in that role was really cool. So yeah, if he kind of came back for something like that, that would be
yeah.
neat.
I don't think he wants to do it though, which sucks. But I get it. At one point you just have to cut the ties and move on with life. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with Tom. It sucks, but I'm glad he's doing the right thing and not keeping his body at risk. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Indy, what about your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is Mr. Kurt Angle.
Yes.
There you go.
I think that Kurt and I'm kind of the same way. When he first started, I was a mark, and I apologize. I don't mean to use the word mark, but no, I don't. Never mind. I never apologize.
My friend Mark.
Anyways,
I don't apologize about apologizing.
Right. Me and my friend Mark. But when he started out, the whole 3 eyes and the cheesy gimmick, I was like, okay, this is dumb. This guy's lame. And then when I started working, I mean, even before I started working in the business, but when I started working, really is when I found out how truly great he was. And I was just, I started looking at it from a wrestler's perspective rather than a sports entertainment fan's perspective, and I realized how amazing Kurt Angle truly is in and outside the ring as far as his promos go. He is one of the most intense promo cutters in the business, as well as, if not the greatest wrestler, one of, if not the greatest wrestlers in the business. And that's what puts him at number 4 on my list.
Yeah. I think Kurt Angle is one that nobody, I mean, I speak for myself, I don't know if everybody, but nobody really appreciated till he was gone. And then you just
definitely.
Like, man, he was a great heel. He came out there like with the onesie on, had like the Olympic, like the whatever that onesie was that he wore. It was just the weirdest thing. The singlet. Yeah, singlet. That's the word I was looking for.
Singlet. Yeah.
Onesie.
His singlet that he had in like the American music, but just the fact that fans would be like, "You suck."
God, if I could chant "You suck."
Didn't Edge start that?
So
I don't know, but
I think Edge started that whole "You suck" chant during his music, and that was hilarious.
But that's got to be like, that's what makes him. That's what I remember most about Kurt Angle was "You suck," just so odd. But yeah, Kurt Angle was also like. He had some credibility behind him too, so it's not like he was just some random guy off the streets like your John Cena or anybody else. But yeah, Kurt Angle.
The only real celebrated athlete in WWF history is what they used to say.
Yeah. Oh no, there's we got I forgot his name now. The guy who went to IU. Tom, help me out here. He's on NXT.
Jason Jordan.
Jason Jordan. I want to say
Justin
Jordan. I was going to say Justin
Gable's,
Jordan, but
Chad Gable is like a mini version of Kurt Angle right now. Not nearly as good promo-wise, but the whole actual Olympic background and all that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what they say? They're ready, willing, and Gable.
That is true.
I love that.
Those guys are great. Oh my God.
They were pretty awesome at the NXT house show as well. That was a lot of fun watching them.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to number 3 for me, I got the sexy boy Shawn Michaels. I have The Undertaker at number 4. I have Shawn Michaels at number 3. Probably more. Those are. Like I said, 2 through 5 to me I can interchange, but number 1 will be number 1 for me. But Shawn Michaels, what was so great about him was just his flamboyantness back in like the early 90s and stuff. When I watched all his old stuff, and then getting with DX, and like the Attitude Era. Then coming back later and actually feuding with Triple H, kind of went back to like the sexy boy look. And even like whenever he retired, he still had like the crazy leather studded pants, never really lost the gimmick that he had with whenever he started with Marty Jannetty and the Rockers. It was so good, and just every time he was ever in the ring, it was going to be an amazing match, even if it was just on Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view, WrestleMania. I mean, he was Mr. WrestleMania for a reason, a very good reason, because he was damn good. And I don't know what else to say about Shawn Michaels that doesn't speak to who he is as a wrestler. I know he had like crazy drug problems and stuff like that in the 90s, which is he cut that promo of like I lost my smile.
Yeah.
I have to go find my smile. I'm not happy. But I know he was going through later find out he was going through like a lot of drug stuff, which is great that he stepped away and realized that was destroying his life, and then he came back and helped perform, and then even after he retired, he's one of the few people whenever he retired, he actually retired, which was amazing. I mean, he came back and did like guest referee stuff, but I don't really consider that wrestling. I mean, I think he super kicked the Undertaker a couple times, but
couple times.
I mean, but who won it? I mean, you made me retire. You beat me. I'm gonna super kick you in the face. But yeah, everything that Shawn Michaels did was crazy, insane, and I don't think anybody's ever going to have as good of a super kick as he does. But
no, never.
No, and I kind of wish, like, I understand, like, what is it? Alberto Del Rio does it. Rusev does it.
Sorry, Young Bucks.
Yeah, but
see, the Young Bucks make up for the quality by
have
just
two.
massive quantity.
Yeah, but the reason I just kind of wish like it'd be like kind of like how Indianapolis Colts, they retired number 18 for Peyton Manning. I kind of wish that they would just like retire the super kick in WWE for Shawn Michaels.
That will never happen.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I know that would never happen, because then that'd be like saying, hey, you can no longer do like a modified fireman's carry like John Cena does once he retires. Like, I get it, but it's just like one of those, like, man, when I see that, I'm like, Shawn Michaels does it better. That's all I say, and then I'm like, I need to stop saying that. I feel like I'm one of those CM Punk guys that's chanting at the arena.
Shawn Michaels Jr., aka Dolph Ziggler, is kind of close, but not as good.
He needs a bigger
Yeah,
push.
he's been doing the tuning up the band and all that too.
Yeah.
Recently.
I've noticed that.
Kind of strange. But
Yep. All right.
Yep.
So number 3, Shawn Michaels. Tom, your turn, buddy.
I know what my number 3 is.
I'm gonna say it's Sasha
Shawn
Banks.
Michaels.
I was gonna say Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks almost made the list. It's just that
So I made sure all my
she's
people
only
were
been wrestling
retired
for like.
or semi-retired. Like I said, the Undertaker, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't have any kind of stipulations like that, but Sasha Banks was very close. She'd be like number 7.
I just see Tom like number 5, Sasha Banks, number 4, Sasha Banks, number 3, Sasha Banks,
She's number 1, guys.
number 2, Kevin Owens, number 1, Sasha Banks.
But yeah, Shawn Michaels is my number 3 as well. He was, again, a total package, able to talk, able to wrestle. And yeah, he was Mr. WrestleMania for a reason. I mean, 24 against Ric Flair. That was
Amazing.
an amazing match with one of the most amazing finishes, just in terms of emotions wise.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I love you, and then
Yes.
super kicking the shit out of an old man.
It still makes me laugh.
Yeah, but that was an amazing match, and then obviously the next two with
Super
the
kicking
Undertaker,
your drunk uncle.
your drunk uncle.
Drunk
Was it-
uncle.
That's not
is that-
fair. He's drunk.
Isn't that how we refer to him now, Tom? Ric Flair is.
Oh yeah, he's definitely your drunk
he's your
uncle.
drunk uncle at the party.
Ric Flair is everyone's drunk uncle. But yeah, and then the next two against the Undertaker that we talked about last week are two of the best matches ever. But yeah, it sucks that he was gone for a significant chunk of time during the heyday of the WWE in the late '90s. But he did kind of kickstart the Attitude Era, and he was one of the main figures there going into it. And while I think that the WWE likes to over-exaggerate the role of DX in the Monday Night Wars and all of that,
I did like the
Shawn
promo.
Michaels-
I like
Yeah.
the USA Network promo that they did. We cannot say. Please refrain from saying the following words.
Yeah, right.
Just said them all. It was great.
But they were a huge part of that, and it was a fun reason to watch, those episodes of Raw, was just to see what those guys were going to do. And mainly Shawn Michaels. being kind of the leader of that group. So, yeah, not much more I can say about Shawn Michaels other than he is one of the greatest of all time.
We'll be touching base on him more later. Don't worry.
There we go. All right, Nathaniel Adams, you're up. Number Trace.
Number Trace is Triple H.
The game.
And the game. And he holds that name true. He is every bit as good as he says he is. I do not care what anybody thinks about the man. They can say he buries people. They can say he's in the position of power because he married into the family. I don't care what they say.
Who cares? He's good.
Triple H is one of the all-time greatest performers in our business, in the business. And not only from a wrestling standpoint, not only from a promo standpoint, but the man is a ring general. He knows where he is at all times in that ring. I do believe that Earl Hebner was the man that once said he could go in there with a mop, wrestle the mop, put the mop over, and make the crowd go crazy for the mop. And I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but that is Triple H to a T. He is one of the greatest performers of all time.
I just want to see that.
I do too. I don't blame you.
That would be entertaining.
Yeah, so I love Triple H. The only thing I don't like the authority. Not because, I mean, like, I get the authority. It's cool, but I think it's been around too long. That's
yeah, it's ran its course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the dude can still put on amazing matches.
I mean, Roadblock.
Even now. The match with Ambrose at Roadblock was great.
I had to go back and rewatch that.
I mean, the match that he had on Raw against Ziggler was really good too. I mean, not to talk about Daniel Bryan more, but their match at WrestleMania 30 was great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the guy is one of the best ever, regardless of all the circumstances surrounding it and what people say. He is definitely one of the best ever.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Plus,
so
when you have Motorhead as your entrance music,
there's nothing. Yeah. And then they play
There's
live.
nothing better than Lemmy. Yeah.
yeah.
They play live. Rest in peace, Lemmy. All right. So moving on to numero dos. So as JR would say, Stone Cold. No. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, he had to be on my list. I mean, he's not the greatest in-ring performer, but he probably. Okay, so I don't want to say he did it alone, but he made the Attitude Era what it was for WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it.
Agreed.
I mean, no other guy in the world could probably finish a match, grab two, Bud Light, Coors Light, milk, whatever he had in the cooler.
Steve Wazers.
Yeah,
Yes,
open them, smash them together, and just pretend to chug them. His feud with Vince
Swig
McMahon.
of beer for the working man.
Yeah, his feud with Vince McMahon was great. It's probably one of the greatest feuds ever, because like I said, it's the blue collar man versus the boss, which is what everybody was going through back in like the, what do they say, like the 90s was like the angst era, like all the alternative rock and stuff was like really popular then. I didn't get into it. I was still listening to like Slayer and stuff from like the 80s and the 90s.
Yes, sir.
But no, Stone Cold was, I mean, if you say Stone Cold to anybody, they're gonna know exactly what you're talking about, whether they've even if they've never even watched wrestling. It's like showing somebody like the picture of like the American flag. They'll say that's the American flag. If you show a picture of Stone Cold, they'll be like, yeah, that's that Stone Cold Steve Austin guy from wrestling, right?
Stone Cold is as iconic as the American flag.
I think he is, but I loved what was that in the Monday Night Wars thing on the WWE Network, which is probably like one of the coolest series ever. Whenever he said how he got his name Stone Cold, like he was sitting there like with a thing of tea, and then his wife or somebody said, you need to drink that.
Yep.
Yeah, drink your tea before it gets stone cold. And he's just like, that's the coolest thing. Then King of the Ring, what was it, 96, where he cut that promo. He's talking about his John 3:16, his Bible and stuff. Well, Austin 3:16, I was like, what? That was what? I mean, I'm like 9 years old, and I'm just like, he said ass. But yeah, that was like the turning point for wrestling. Like, I watched WWF before them. Once again, like that's what my uncle and my cousins watched. I was too young to hold the TV controller, so I was that guy. But yeah, I loved Stone Cold, everything about him, and just occasionally, like as a teenager, I know Nate, you probably did this. Tommy probably did. Just giving your friends a stunner. Why not?
Yeah.
Just hey, I'm gonna kick you in the stomach and I'm gonna stunner you. Okay, and they're gonna do it. But
I'm pretty sure that you and I have both stunned Dusty on more than one occasion.
Oh, probably like 20 occasions. But The Rock, I will say The Rock takes the best stunners. Like he does like the whole flip and his legs go crazy, his arms go crazy. But he's probably taken like 1,000 of them, so that's probably why he takes them so good.
And Linda McMahon takes the worst.
Yes. I would like to see Seth Rollins take a Stone Cold Stunner. I feel like he'd probably do like a triple backflip or something like that. But yeah, so number 2, I'm sure Tom might be talking about this later, but Stone Cold's.
Yeah, maybe.
All right,
Maybe.
Tom. Numero dos, Senor Rita.
All right. My number 2, my favorite active wrestler right now. Tim, you alluded to this earlier.
Kevin Owens.
You called it earlier.
I did.
Yeah,
I
it's
called
Kevin
it.
Owens. Yeah, Kevin Owens is fantastic.
He's me and Tom, but as a wrestler, I feel like.
Yeah, so obviously he's great in the ring. He's great on promos. But what really sells it for me is the combination of the two is him just never shutting up in the ring, which I guess is what Steve Austin told him one time at an airport 10, 15 years ago or whatever, is don't shut up. And just the constant jawing that he has in the ring where he's yelling at people. And what was that, during that Ryback match that he had?
Ref, my elbow.
Ref, my elbow! Just yelling stuff at people and,
Shut up.
mocking them and irritating them. Yeah. They keep calling on you, just shut up! Shut up! The whole time, never stopping talking. Just the little details like that make
Yelling
him...
at Cole. That's good.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere, he just starts yelling at Michael Cole all the time. Just every single match. You see that, Cole?
Plus
You
his
see
Twitter.
that, Cole?
His Twitter's
Yeah.
probably the best Twitter on the internet. I will say that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
His Twitter is really great.
If this were a list of the top 5 heels of all time, he would definitely be about number 2 or 1 on my list.
Yeah, he's
He's the
he
best
takes
heel
it
that they
takes
have
it
right
to
now.
a whole nother level.
Yeah, he just lives and breathes his character for sure. But he's also incredible in the ring, and the fact that he looks like me, obviously with more muscle, but he looks like a regular person. But he's able to do some of the most
He's got the dad
amazing,
bod, as they would call it nowadays. The
crazy
dad bod.
stuff. Yeah, he's got a dad bod. Well, he is a dad.
The
so-
dad bod.
The dad bod.
That's a
But
thing,
the
I
fact
guess.
that he's able to do swantons and the cannonball and
Has he landed a swanton yet?
no, still no. Maybe in a house show or something. One of these days he's going to land a swanton and I'm going to lose my mind.
Kevin Owens does an amazing shooting star press.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Blows
So
my mind every time he does it.
if he were to ever turn face or something like that, he'd probably be more like a Stone Cold type character where he's never going to be like a good guy.
A
'cause you
good
just
guy.
can't see that.
He's like
But,
a Batman. He's like
but I
an
would love to see him
anti-hero.
pull out some more of those crazy moves and stuff. I mean, obviously, the package pile driver is one of the coolest moves. And the fact that he almost did it on SmackDown was kind of incredible from this past week. Yeah, just overall, he can, he was able to get John Cena's best match out of him probably for
3
his
times.
entire career. Yeah,
Three
three
times.
times in a row. But he's just so good at what he does. He's so much fun to watch. And, from the indies all the way up through now, it's always entertaining to watch any of his matches. He's just one of the best ever. And hopefully they give him the heavyweight championship soon because he's the best.
I say within another year, 2 at most, he'll have it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a hard ass worker too. That's his thing. I want to see what I want to see. It might not be the greatest match, but I want to see him and Apollo Crews feud for the WWE Championship. I feel like that'd be fun. I know him and Sami Zayn would be amazing, but I like Apollo Crews.
Sami Zayn are always amazing.
Oh yeah, El Generico. All right.
That's a different guy.
All right, Mr. Andy, number 2, sir.
I've got one word for you. Woo!
There you go. Drunk
My-
Uncle.
Drunk Uncle!
Drunk Uncle
What are
makes
you
an
talking
appearance.
about? What are you talking about? I was going with Jay Lethal. No, I'm just kidding. Ric Flair. Yeah, Ric Flair is my number 2.
The creepy uncle that kissed Becky Lynch. That guy.
Creepy drunk uncle, yeah. And, I mean, for reasons that are obvious, and I know that he's
Yes.
kind of worn out his welcome, he was number 1 until he went to TNA. When he went to TNA, I was just kind of like, okay, this is over. What are you doing?
He was trying to pull a Hogan.
And, yeah, he was pulling a Hogan, and, by all means, he's Ric Flair. He has the right to do so. You need no explanation if you're Ric Flair. But at the same time, it's over, brah. Give it up. But
Tap out.
for obvious reasons, the matches, the 5-star matches, the 60-minute matches, he was the 60-minute man for years in the NWA. I'm a very big fan of the old school wrestling. I have seen a tremendous amount of Ric Flair matches, and all of them are great. He can go anywhere and make anybody look like a stud. He can make a nobody look like a somebody, and for that I put him at number 2.
Yeah. So what I like the most, whenever WCW was like, closing their doors or whatever, that the last match was actually Ric Flair and Sting, wasn't it? No.
Sir.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
it wasn't.
They closed out the show.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't NWO or anything like that. It was the mainstays of WCW, which was, like, once again, at the time I didn't realize it. Like I said, I didn't watch much WCW, but now that I've actually watched a lot more wrestling, gotten into it more deep, that's something that I realized, and I'm like, that's really awesome. And I love Ric Flair like you, but like I agree, he overstayed as well. He's overstayed his welcome. I'm hoping that he's just in it for this one haul with Charlotte as her first reign of champion, holding that heel character really, really well. So I'm hoping once she loses the title and then loses the rematch, that he might just kind of go away.
Yeah, and he'll
silently go away.
Yeah, he'll kind of show up for stuff kind of like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Like weird panels and stuff, but that's fine. But yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Ric Flair.
It's actually the background of my phone right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it says to be the man, you got to beat the man, and then it's him. It's all bloody. It's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool, actually. All right, so
that's awesome.
So before I get to my number 1, I'm going to round out my honorable mention with my 5 through 2 again. So honorable mention, CM Punk. Number 5, The Rock. Number 4, The Undertaker. Number 3, Shawn Michaels. And number 2, Stone Cold. And the number 1, this is one that's completely off the wall, but I love this man to death, and I loved watching him in the ring. But it's the Rated R Superstar Edge. Like I said, it's not your typical list with Edge on there for your top 5 wrestlers of all time, but I don't know why I was just so drawn to him. It was just
you like Alter Bridge.
Well, his music has always been his music was always cool, but I think it was also just him with Christian. So like the Hardy Boys, they had their high flying stuff that was really cool to watch, but the 5-second pose, then even like their show on the network now, the Edge and Christian show, it's amazing. It's great. It's like
hilarious.
It's like a half hour of just fun. Like I've watched the first 2 episodes. The first episode was amazing. Like they go into McMahon's office and he's like, Edge, how's it going? Hey buddy, how's it going? Give me a hug. I love you. And he's like looks at Christian. What are you doing here? It's sad, but that's how it was for Edge and Christian. Like once they broke off into the singles. But when I think of Edge, I think of Christian. ENC. But Edge, pretty much the reason I think he was such a mainstay with me is because he was always in some kind of a picture, which is because he was so over with McMahon, which is, I'm thinking that's like 90% of the reason. He was either like in the WWE Championship picture, the World Heavyweight, tag teams, anything. He's had 33 title reigns total, which is like the most out of anybody right now.
Yeah, he's got the most title reigns in history.
Yeah, which is crazy. But, I mean, that means he's also lost it 32 times because he retired as the World Heavyweight Champion. I will not let that go. But I don't know.
He always has some rematch.
I can always go back and watch a match with Edge and just be happy the whole time just because he was like the guy that I would have wanted to be if I was there. Like, I'm a taller guy. I'm a metalhead. I would come out to Rob Zombie, Altered Bridge, anything like that sounded heavy, sounded fast, sounded crazy. And he just always had like that really cool look with the long hair whenever he like dove in the ring and just like sit there for a second and smile. It was like that super creepy smile, but it just turned me on to that guy, like, just. And then whenever he's in the match, like, yes, Tom said before, I agree, he probably has one of the worst spears ever.
Oh, for sure.
But
here's a nice hug.
Hey,
hug.
We're just gonna stop and you're just gonna fall down right here. But the spear he gave to Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 17, I feel like that stamped me as being an edge head at that point. Then, him coming back and winning the Royal Rumble in 2010, then coming out and challenging Chris Jericho, who just won an Elimination Chamber at Raw and Indy when I was there, was amazing. But, then just him retiring, it just came out of nowhere. It just came out of left field, and it sucked. And it was probably one of the best retirement speeches ever. And then they tried to what was it? They tried to get Alberto Del Rio over by him retiring or something like that. It was just like whenever Edge is like walking off screen, Alberto Del Rio just shows up. He's like, yes, I did that. And it's like, no, you didn't. But
Christian won his first
Yes.
heavyweight championship in WWE because of that retirement.
yes, and that was something that was so deserved so long before that. And then he had it for what, like on paper 2 days, but total like television time like 4 or 5 days, which sucked. The big one, because they just like, hey, you got it because of Edge. Now we're gonna give it to Randy Orton, but we'll give it back to you like in 6 months for like 3 weeks, and then we're gonna take it back again. But yeah, Edge, the rated R superstar. He had some of the best feuds. I think not the best matches, but he was just the character that I felt like I was drawn to the most, and wanted to see wrestle every single show, every single week. And I think he gave, besides Shawn Michaels, probably one of the most heartfelt retirement speeches ever, because it was, once again, something we didn't see coming. It was like, what was it? Like he came out to address the WWE Universe, and he's wearing a suit. You're like, oh, it's kind of different. And then he just retired. And it's like, what? What
Yep.
just happened? Or no, on Raw, he was wearing normal clothes. He was wearing like jeans and like a flannel T-shirt or something like that.
And then on SmackDown,
Yeah, then
he
on
was wearing
SmackDown,
the
he was
suit,
wearing
yeah.
the suit. Yeah, but it was just, and then he had his last entrance, which was like, oh man, I rewatched it again this last week, and I was like, I cried whenever that happened the first time, and I know
Isn't it
why.
the one where he snuck out and then he was like, I got to do that one more
he's like, I gotta do it
Hold
one
on.
more time, but I need you guys to be on your feet. And he's out there, and you can just see it in him, like, this is the last time I gotta make this good. And I was like, I cried whenever this happened, and now I remember why, like, because it was just so good, and it was just like that send off to somebody that was so great to the business for what, like 15 to 16 years. So it sucks, but once again, like Daniel Bryan, to bring him up again, it was for the right reasons. So, but I'm glad he's back and at least around, so I can actually laugh hysterically at him and Christian, because they're both just hilarious.
In the words of JR, they're goofier than a bunch of pet coons.
There you go. All right, so I think I know who Tom's number one is, but Tom, let's hear it. What you got?
My number one is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I was really hoping you were going to play the theme song.
I could. Hold on.
I know, isn't it your ringtone, or is that Kevin Owens?
It was my ringtone. Kevin Owens' theme song is my ringtone now. Stone Cold's theme song is what wakes me up in the morning, though. That's one of my alarms.
Scary as shit.
Yeah, because you hear the glass, and then it's, oh, God.
Okay, so your theme song is or your ringtone is Kevin Owens. What's yours, Tim?
I don't know if I have a ringtone. Nobody ever calls me, so using my phone just
I actually
vibrates.
have an embarrassing story about my ringtone.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my ringtone is Cult of Personality.
There you go.
There you go.
And I am in the locker room getting dressed at a CCW show, putting my gear on, and my phone rings. Not thinking anything of it, I pick it up and answer it. Well, I turn around, and every single worker in that locker room is looking at me, shaking their head in disgust at how big of a mark I really am.
There you go.
And
That's awesome.
just the way, like, the ego was completely deflated, and I was like, I gotta go. Like,
Just
you
a big
can only
social distortion fan, guys.
You can only imagine the embarrassment I felt when you have 20-year veterans in the sport looking at you like, really? You work in this business, you're a wrestler, and you have a wrestler's theme song as your ringtone. So ever since then, I changed it to Kevin Owens' old theme song.
There you go.
It's not as recognizable.
My ringtone is just a random Verizon ringtone. I never change. My phone's always on vibrate, so that's why I don't.
I
have
think
a
you're
ringtone.
the only person I know that still has a ring back tone.
Yes. Oh, my God, you do.
Oh, I need to. I tried turning it off like 3 times, but.
Yeah. Sure you have.
Anyways, Tom, Stone Cold. Let's hear about Stone Cold.
I really like Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. Stone Cold.
Yeah, so he was definitely the, as we talked about, he was the reason that the Attitude Era was so big, that everybody knows who Stone Cold is. I might disagree with you, Tim, that he's as iconic as the American flag.
That
but,
was just
hey,
something I made up on the top of my head. Jesus, let me live it down now.
Hulk Hogan is as American as the American flag.
He won $115 million, by the way.
That dude is
Paul
gonna
Bevan's
blow.
penis size is 10 inches.
But Terry's,
Tim went silent.
but Terry's isn't. God, that thing was a debacle and a half. Anyway,
That
yeah,
thing,
Stone
I
Cold.
see what you did there.
Oh, got him.
Got him. These 24-inch pythons. Anyway. Yeah, Stone Cold just always made everything fun. It was just so good to see him, whether it was on Raw and he's, driving a beer truck up to the ramp, or, he's revving his four-wheeler on top of Vince McMahon's limo, or he's wrestling The Rock at WrestleMania. Everything that he did was just entertaining. You had to watch it. And his I don't give a fuck attitude definitely kind of personified the era at the time. It was definitely what put him over the top for everybody. Yeah, he's not the greatest technical wrestler of all time, but he is still a very good wrestler. I mean, his match with Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13, is incredible, and that kind of really pushed him over the top. It kind of made him, made him the guy. So, yeah, Stone Cold still, around and kicking it today. He's got all his weird TV shows on CMT, and he has his podcast and all that, which the ones that they do live after, episodes of Raw and all that are great because it gives you a fun perspective into, the business from a guy that lived it and was on top for so long. And again, another person whose career was cut short due to injuries and all that. But it's good to see that he's still around to make appearances, and the occasional time that you do hear his music on Raw or at a WrestleMania or something like that, it's still really special. Everyone just loses their minds.
When the glass shatters, business is about to pick up.
Exactly. So, yep, Stone Cold is number one because I said so.
Oh.
See what you did there. See what you did there. All right, so that leaves last, but certainly not least, Mr. Indy.
I got 2 words for you. Sexy boy.
Oh, that's not nearly what I thought it was.
See what I did there? See what I did?
Oh, yeah, you could have said the other one, though, too.
Shawn Michaels. Is that the 2 words?
Yeah, and for reasons that are obvious, I'm a worker, and I think that his work in the ring is some of the best work the best work I've ever seen, to be honest. And the man was the showstopper. He was the icon. He was the main event. Shawn Michaels held the company together at a time when WCW was on the rise and people had left. And I didn't know this until recently. I was listening to a shoot interview that he had done, and he had actually asked for his release so he could go to WCW. But when he wasn't, if you didn't know that, he says it in one of his podcasts. He had actually asked for his release so he could, quote unquote, go be with his friends. And and I was always under the assumption that he was always loyal to Vince, but but that still didn't ruin it for me. Because, I take into account wrestling ability, I take into account promo skills, I take into account company loyalty to the brand as well, because I see wrestlers come and go often. And Shawn Michaels, to me, though, is the absolute best performer in the business, bar none. He can have a 5-star match with anybody. He got a 5-star match out of Cena on a Monday Night Raw in London. And I know it wasn't really categorized as a 5-star match, but to me, they wrestled for an hour that night. They actually had their time extended in the ring for a reason. During the middle of the match, they were told to keep going. And that match turned out to be one of the best matches I've ever seen from John Cena. Not from Shawn, but definitely for Cena. And I think as all around, if we're looking at everything from a performance standpoint, from a sports entertainment standpoint, yeah, I know I got tongue-tied there. Shawn Michaels is the be-all, end-all of the business. There will never be another Shawn Michaels.
No, there probably won't be. I agree with that entirely. Could have said it better myself. All right.
Getting a little emotional there?
Yeah. But, wow, that wraps up episode 49, ladies and gentlemen. But, so we will be back next week with more wrestling stuff for WrestleMania.
Okay, hold on now. I have an idea.
There's
Out
an
of
idea, ladies and
respect for the Young Bucks, Kevin Owens and Adam Cole, idea for the show: our Mount Rushmores of pro wrestling.
Ooh, there we go.
Mount Rushmore pros. Ooh, that's a good
Because my list, and I noticed that my list was completely different from yours, but I do it from a worker's standpoint.
one. Yep.
And I think that if we did a Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling, my list would be completely different. Absolutely different than my favorite workers of all time.
So you're talking about is it 4 faces on the Mount Rushmore? Is it
There are
right?
4 faces.
Yeah.
There are 4 faces.
Who would be on the Mount Rushmore of a wrestling Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore.
John Cena,
Well, let's save it for a show.
Batista,
Sheamus.
Oh,
Santino Marella.
hardcore Holly. I'm going to get my ass kicked the next time I see him. I shouldn't have said that.
It's all good. It's all good. But thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure to follow, subscribe, all that random plug-and-play stuff that we always talk about. But come back next week. We might be talking about Mount Rushmore. I don't know. We'll be talking about wrestling. I know that much, and I'm excited. But once again, Tom, always a pleasure. I'll probably see you. I'll probably be doing something with you tonight. I don't know. Probably playing something.
Probably.
Yeah, you'll probably be doing something with him.
Yeah.
Hey!
But, Mr. Indy, thank you, sir.
Always
Thanks
a
again for your
pleasure.
time. Anything coming up on CCW? I think you covered that last week, but what was it again?
We're having a show. I do believe it's April 17th. It's, excuse me, that's Sunday. Yeah, it's April 17th. I will not be at that show. I am going to be out of town for my sister's wedding. My sister's getting married, and I feel so bad for her poor bastard fiance. I'm just saying.
Don't do it, bro. Back out now.
Hey, what's funny is I'm one of his groomsmen, and I'm going to be up there saying, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it."
And
I
you're
grew
saying-
up with her. Don't do it.
He says, "I do." You're like, "Damn it, it's gone now. It's gone."
Yeah, I can't do anything else about it.
All right, so
But,
April 17th.
April 17th. Yes, sir.
At German
German
Park.
Park. And we're going to have a fun-filled show. The Monster Abyss is going to be there. I do believe that Abyss is taking on Zodiac, which they always put on an amazing match. They had an amazing match at the last show. And it's going to be a fun event. Bring the kids. It ends early enough so you can get them home in bed for school at a reasonable hour. It starts at 6:45, and you'll be out of there by 10. So
We might have to
go
go
to the
Tom
show.
and do a review of the show.
Let's do it.
take your Mr. Indy signs, even though I won't be there. Let them know that you missed me.
We will. All right, you guys.
This will be
Thanks.
the new
Thank you,
CM Punk fan.
Mr. Indy. That's what we'll do.
Clap, 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 clap.
Yep. All right, but once again,
Mr. Indy.
thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with episode 50.
Stay tuned, guys. Proud of myself for that one.